everyone, we're going to look at just a quick review of solving quadratic equations with the quadratic formula. There we go. Okay, so just to remember, the quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Remember, we've got our silly Pop Goes the Weasel song. And I just want you to remember that it's everything in the numerator divided by 2 times a. Okay, so here's the first example. X squared minus 4x equals 21. Well, remember, one of the first requirements with using the quadratic formula is we do need to make sure that our equation is equal to 0. So I've moved the 21 over by subtracting it. It's helpful to go ahead and identify your a, b, and c. And then all we have to do is simply plug it into the quadratic formula. Now, when I've plugged it in here, I haven't changed any signs or done anything special because I wanted you to just see it. Now, this is definitely a point where you could pick up your calculator, and I am going to show you the calculator software if you're using it on your computer or phone. But I'm also going to point out in this particular problem, we almost don't need a calculator for this one. The next thing I would definitely do would be to do some simplifying. The double negatives make a positive 4. Negative 4 squared is 16. And, really important here, if we're using our calculator, and even if we're not, we should always get a positive number right here because we're squaring it. So that's another common mistake that we're making. So make sure if we have a negative number here that we're using our calculator, that you're putting it in parentheses. And then I can calculate negative 4 times 1 times negative 21 is positive 84. I mean, again, we don't really need a calculator yet. And then 16 plus 84 is 100. 100 is a perfect square. The square root of 100 is 10. So 4 plus 10 divided by 2 is 7. 4 minus 10 divided by 2 is negative 3. So, yes, we can pick up our calculator at this point, but there's really no need to do that. Okay, let's look at another one. 2x squared plus 5x plus 3 equals 0. So we've already got it equal to 0. I'm going to identify my a, b, and c. Remember, if you want to pause the video and plug it in and work it out and see if you can get it correct first on your own, that would be a great option because then you could check your work. Okay, so I'm going to fill in the formula. Again, this one is pretty easy. We're not really going to need a calculator here. I did 5 squared is 25. I did negative 4 times 2 times 3 is negative 24 minus 24. We're dividing by 4. Negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 1 over 4. And so then negative 5 plus 1 divided by 4 is negative 1. Negative 5 minus 1 divided by 4 is negative 3 over 2 or negative 1.5. Either answer would be acceptable. Okay, we're going to look at one more. This one's a little more difficult, so this is where I'm going to show you the calculator software a little bit. Okay, so again, the first thing we need to make sure that happens is that we get this equation equal to 0. Okay, and because of that decimal there, this is definitely going to be one we're going to want to pick up our calculator. So identify your a, b, and c. And we're still going to plug this in to our formula. Now, I'm going to go away from this for a second. Let's see, I'm going to hit escape. And I'm going to go to my calculator software. So you can see I already have it opened up on my computer. I'm not sure if it looks like this on your phone, but this is what it looks like on your computer. You see right here, document toolbox. I'm not sure if yours looks like this, but you can see the calculator pad, and then here's your screen. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the scratch pad. And we're going to input our formula. So I'm going to make a fraction first. And then let's see, we've got -8. And if I want to type this in all at once, we can totally do that. So that's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to type it in all at once. I'm going to do -8 plus the square root. Is that right? Yeah. B squared, 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times -82.6. And then down at the bottom, we had over 2 times 1, so I'm just going to put 2. Okay, so if I hit enter, I get 5.93. See, so that was really easy. You can put that in all at once. And then now we need to do the second one. So I'm going to do a fraction again, -8. This time we're going to do minus. I guess I could have gone up and copied this, so I didn't have to retype everything, but oh well, I'm already retyping it. So here we go, 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times -82.6. And you can even like click here if you don't want to use your arrows, 2. And -13.93 roughly, if we're rounding to our hundredths place. Okay, now let's go back where we were. And I want to show you another option. So if you don't want to type in the whole equation at once, you could do this part, this discriminant, this part underneath the radical, and calculate that first. Just do 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times -82.6. Get it down to a single digit, and that might make it a little bit easier. So if we were, and I'm just going to go ahead and look at it like that. So again, just going back to my software, if we just wanted to do the part under the radical sign, the discriminant, we could do 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times -82.6 and hit enter. And then I could do the rest of it. Just again, really important, make sure that everything in the numerator is being divided by the denominator. Make sure that that whole, what was it, 394.4? That whole, this whole part is being divided by 2, because some of us were making the mistake and just dividing the square root part. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense, and just let me know if you have any questions.